All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India and China to cease their forward deployment in phased and coordinated manner in eastern Ladakh. Both houses of parliament to resume discussion on union budget. Over 1 crore MSMEs registered in the country over a period of 5 years. Search and rescue operation continues overnight for people trapped inside the tunnel in Uttarakhand. And US President Joe Biden revokes national emergency order used to fund Mexico border wall project. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said in Lok Sabha that India will not give even an inch of its territory to anyone. Making a statement in Lok Sabha regarding present situation in eastern Ladakh, the Defence Minister said the agreement envisages that both sides will cease their forward deployments in a phased and coordinated manner. He said that since last September, both India and China have maintained communication with each other through military and diplomatic channels. The Defence Minister said the Indian Armed Forces responded to challenges by unilateral Chinese action and have showed immense valour and courage on both south and north bank of Pangong Tso.
हमारी सेनाओं ने इस बात पर भी यह साबित करके दिखाया है कि भारत की संप्रभुता एवं अखंडता की रक्षा करने में वे सदैव हर चुनौती से लड़ने के लिए तत्पर हैं और अनवरत कर रहे हैं.
Earlier, giving a statement in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Rajnath Singh had informed that India and China have agreed for disengagement in the north and south bank of Pangong Lake in eastern Ladakh and assured that the nation's approach and strategy for negotiations with the Chinese side has been guided at the highest level by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's resolve not to give even 1 inch. The minister said the tenacity and approach of the country during talks have yielded results.
बातचीत के लिए हमारी स्ट्रेटेजी तथा अप्रोच माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के इस दिशा निर्देश पर आधारित है कि हम अपनी 1 इंच जमीन भी किसी और को नहीं लेने देंगे. हमारे दृढ़ संकल्प का ही यह फल है कि हम समझौते की स्थिति पर पहुंच गए हैं. इन दिशा निर्देशों के दृष्टिगत सितंबर 2020 से लगातार मिलिट्री एंड डिप्लोमेटिक लेवल पर दोनों पक्षों में कई बार बातचीत हुई है कि इस डिसएंगेजमेंट का म्यूचुअली एक्सेप्टेबल तरीका निकाला जाए.
Highlighting the details of the agreement, he informed that both sides will cease their forward deployments in a phased, coordinated and verified manner. He said the Chinese side will keep its troops' presence in the North Bank area to east of Finger 8. Reciprocally, the Indian troops, he said, will be based at their permanent base at Dhan Singh Thapa post near Finger 3. The Defence Minister said a similar action would be taken in the South Bank area by both sides.
मुझे सदन को यह बताते हुए खुशी हो रही है कि हमारे इस अप्रोच तथा सस्टेन्ड टॉक्स के फलस्वरूप चीन के साथ पैंगोंग लेक के नॉर्थ एवं साउथ बैंक पर डिसएंगेजमेंट का समझौता हो गया है और इस बात पर भी सहमत हो गई है पैंगोंग लेक से पूर्ण डिसएंगेजमेंट के 48 आवर्स के अंदर सीनियर कमांडर स्तर की बातचीत हो तथा बाकी बचे हुए मुद्दों पर भी हल निकाला जाए. पैंगोंग लेक एरिया में चीन के साथ डिसएंगेजमेंट का जो समझौता हुआ है उसके अनुसार दोनों पक्ष फॉरवर्ड डिप्लॉयमेंट को फेज्ड, कोऑर्डिनेटेड एंड वेरीफाइड मैनर में हटाएंगे.
Both the Houses of Parliament will resume discussion on the Union Budget today. In the Lok Sabha, the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2021 is scheduled to come up for consideration and passage. In the Rajya Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will table a statement showing the supplementary demands for grants 2020-21. Yesterday, during the discussion on Union Budget 2021-22 in the Lok Sabha, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi criticized the government for enacting the 3 farm laws and alleged that they have triggered protests by the farmers at Delhi's borders. He also alleged that the laws will allow industrialists to buy unlimited quantity of food grains and hoard them. Mr. Gandhi demanded the repeal of the farm laws. Responding to this, the Minister of State for Finance, Anurag Thakur, said Mr. Gandhi was not prepared to speak about the union budget. He said it was an optimistic budget and it will set the path for India to be an economic and manufacturing powerhouse. Telugu Desam Party's Jayadev Galla, participating in the debate, complimented the Prime Minister for the most comprehensive lockdown that saved lives. In his speech, Sanjay Jaiswal of the BJP said how the Prime Minister managed to present a commendable budget amidst adverse circumstances. Jaiswal said lots of investments have been made on roads, rail and other infrastructure and how they will help create jobs and take India to newer heights. Others who took part in the debate include Dr. K. Jayakumar of Congress, M. Selvaraj of CPI, Ajay Mishra of BJP, Hasnain Masoodi of National Conference and Anupriya Patel of Apna Dal. The discussion was on till the script was written. In our series on the Union Budget 2021-22, today we bring you key announcements for rural development this year. The government has proposed a sum of 1,33,689 crore rupees for Rural Development Ministry in the Union Budget 2021-22. In a budget speech, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman proposed to extend Swamitva scheme to cover all states and UTs during financial year 2021-22.
Early this year, Honorable Prime Minister had launched the Swamitva scheme. Under this, a record of rights is being given to property owners in villages. Up till now, about 1.80 lakh property owners in 1,241 villages have been provided cards. I propose during 21-22 to extend this to cover all states and union territories, to provide adequate credit to our farmers.
A report by our correspondent.
In the budget, the government has announced the allocation to the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund from 30,000 crore rupees to 40,000 crore rupees. The centre has allocated 73,000 crore rupees to the Rural Employment Guarantee Programme Manrega for the next fiscal 2021-22. Major flagship welfare schemes under the Rural Development Ministry, the allocation for the 2021-22 fiscal increased from the revised estimate for the current 2020-21 fiscal. The allocation for the Rural Roads Scheme, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, increased to 15,000 crore rupees from 13,700 crore rupees, whereas the funds allocated to the National Rural Livelihood Mission jumped by more than 48% to 13,677 crore rupees. To strengthen the rural economy, the government has focused on diversified livelihood opportunities such as horticulture, poultry and fisheries. The Finance Minister proposed a village storage scheme which will be run by self-help groups, and it will provide villagers with better storage capacities. The scheme will allow women SSGs to regain their position as Dhan Lakshmi, and they can avail Mudra loans for opening storage facilities. A whopping 50,000 crore rupees has been earmarked for the Jal Jeevan Mission, which aims to provide tap water connections to rural households by 2024. Introduction of Sagar Mitras is a positive step towards upskilling rural youth to contribute to a local sustainable livelihood generation. A new centrally sponsored scheme, Pradhan Mantri Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana, will support for 17,788 rural health and wellness centers. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Union Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Ravi Shankar Prasad, said strict action will be taken against social media platforms if they are found to be violating the law of the land, spreading fake news and fueling violence in the country. Specifically naming Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp and LinkedIn in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Prasad said they have millions of followers in the country and are free to do business and make money. Mr. Prasad, however, said that these platforms cannot be allowed to circumvent the provisions of the Indian Constitution.
पुलिस को कार्रवाई करना पड़ता है तो कुछ ये माइक्रो ब्लॉगिंग कंपनियां उसके साथ खड़ी हो जाती हैं, और जब यहाँ पर लाल किले पर हमला होता है जो भारत की गरिमा का प्रतीक है तो उसके विरोध में खड़ी हो जाती हैं। ये डबल स्टैंडर्ड नहीं चलेगा, ये सारी कंपनियां जान लें। हम भारत के संविधान में फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच है, लेकिन 19(2) में ये भी लिखा हुआ है इट इज सब्जेक्ट टू रीजनेबल रिस्ट्रिक्शन बिकॉज ऑफ सॉवरेनिटी इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ इंडिया। ये क्या मजाक है कि आप नरेंद्र मोदी मैसेकर ऑफ किसान हैशटैग करते हैं, इसका मतलब क्या है? तो सर आप वैमनस्य न फैलाएं, आप हिंसा न फैलाएं, झूठी खबरें न फैलाएं और भारत के संविधान और भारत के कानून का पालन करें, इसमें हम बहुत ही सख्त रहेंगे।
Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Ministry has informed that more than 1 crore 2 lakh MSMEs were registered in the country within 5 years. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Minister Nitin Gadkari said that as per Udyog Aadhar portal, a total of 1 crore 2 lakh 32,468 MSMEs were registered between 2015 to June 2020. He said MSME Ministry has implemented various other schemes for the growth and development of MSME sector in the country. He added that the government has taken a number of initiatives under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan to support the MSME sector in the country, especially in COVID-19 pandemic.
The Ministry of Railways is focusing on future readiness by emphasizing on infrastructure development, world-class passenger services and robust safety mechanisms. In an exclusive interview to AIR News, Railway Board Member Finance and ex-officio Secretary Naresh Salecha said the ministry is working towards achieving the targets set under National Rail Plan 2030 to prepare the railways for the requirement of the next 30 years. Mr. Salecha said Railways is promoting Make in India policy to become self-reliant in various technologies. He said this will give boost to indigenous industries and generate employment in the country.
For Atmanirbhar Bharat, basically we are trying to promote Make in India policy. The import on procurement, which was about 5.6% of our total procurement. Our total procurement goes in tens of thousands crore rupees. It was 5.6% 2013-14. Now it has been brought down to 1.5% and it's reducing. More than 97% electrical locomotive component are sourced indigenously. Continued thrust on LHB coaches production is manufactured here. 44 more trains have been ordered. The track machines now completely indigenously manufactured. Plants are set up in Faridabad, Haryana, Karjan, Gujarat and Bangalore, Karnataka. Indigenous train collision avoidance system TICAS is also completely India made. This will give huge boost to the Atmanirbhar Bharat, also helping in setting our own domestic industries here and also employment creation here.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India and China to cease their forward deployment in phased and coordinated manner in eastern Ladakh. Both houses of parliament to resume discussion on union budget. Over 1 crore MSMEs registered in the country over a period of 5 years. Search and rescue operation continues overnight for people trapped inside the tunnel in Uttarakhand. And US President Joe Biden revokes national emergency order used to fund Mexico border wall project. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
In Uttarakhand, search and rescue operation for the 25 to 35 people feared trapped inside the tunnel continued overnight at the Tapovan area of Chamoli district. Our correspondent reports that till date, 36 bodies have recovered and around 168 people are still missing. A detailed report.
More than 100 hours have passed since the flash flood hit the Dhauli Ganga power project at Tapovan. Rescue and search operations continued whole night in the tunnel where around 25 to 35 people are feared to be trapped. But backflow of slush and water is making it difficult. DIG Garhwal Neeru Garg said that rescue teams are trying to reach till 180 meters in the tunnel where these workers could be trapped. Vertical drilling also became difficult after 6.5 meters since water coming underneath, making it difficult for the drilling equipments to stay stable. Another concern to the rescue operation is the small water pockets at the origin of Dhauli Ganga river, breaking of which could increase the water level of river anytime. The technical experts team had given details regarding the formation of water pockets. Administration tried to manually make the passage for water to release, which increased the water level of river, resulting in suspension of the rescue work for some time yesterday. Chinook helicopters are being continuously utilized for transportation of men, material and heavy loads towards rescue operations in other calamity-hit areas of the district. With Ragvesh Pandey in Dehradun, Sushil Chandra Tiwari for AIR News at Rani Village, Tapovan, Chamoli.
Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla chaired a meeting to review the progress of rescue and relief work being carried out by central agencies and agencies of the Uttarakhand government at the site of the hydro project of the NTPC at Tapovan on the Dhauli Ganga river, which was impacted by an avalanche in the upper catchment of the Rishi Ganga river in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand on 7th of this month. The Home Secretary reviewed the action required for regulating the flow of water from a temporary obstruction which has formed upstream from the project. Secretary DRDO has been asked to depute experts for analysis of the situation and for taking appropriate remedial measures in coordination with central and state agencies.
India has become the fastest country in the world to achieve over 70 lakh vaccinations against COVID-19 in only 26 days. It took 27 days for the US and 48 days for the UK. The Union Health Ministry said a total of over 70,17,000 people have been administered the COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. More than 4,05,000 people were inoculated with COVID vaccine doses in the last 24 hours. The ministry said 13 states and union territories have vaccinated over 65% of the registered healthcare workers. Bihar leads with over 79% of the registered healthcare workers being vaccinated. Puducherry has recorded the lowest vaccination performance of 17.5%. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 97.26%, with the total recovery of more than 11,000 patients in the last 24 hours. Madhya Pradesh achieved 45% of the target set for the vaccination yesterday. COVID vaccination is progressing smoothly in the state. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
In Madhya Pradesh, over 4,83,000 healthcare and frontline workers were vaccinated so far across the state. Highest vaccination yesterday reported at Shajapur district with 71% vaccination. Meanwhile, the state reported 169 COVID-positive cases yesterday, while 199 patients recovered from infection. With one patient succumbing to the infection, the death toll increased to 3,828. COVID positivity rate stands at 1.0%. 21 districts recorded no new infections. State Immunization Officer Dr. Santosh Shukla informed that there is no report of any adverse effect after vaccination from anywhere in the state. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Bihar, 4,48,446 healthcare and frontline workers have been vaccinated in the state so far. No side effect of the vaccine was reported from any part of the state. Health Minister Mangal Pandey said the vaccination for healthcare workers ended in the state and a final mop-up exercise for the left-out beneficiaries will be done tomorrow. Meanwhile, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 99.15% in Bihar. 2,59,347 patients have recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the state so far. The number of active cases is continuously declining. Currently, only 699 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. No positive case has been reported from 24 districts out of 38 of the state. Over 2 crore 18 lakh corona tests have been conducted in the state so far.
In Gujarat, 27,657 persons were vaccinated during the last 24 hours. They were vaccinated through 902 vaccination centers across the state. Our correspondent reports that the total number of persons vaccinated in the state has gone up to 7,41,788. More in this report from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
285 new cases of COVID-19 infection have been reported in Gujarat during the last 24 hours. 302 patients have been discharged from the hospitals after recovery. The total 2,58,270 patients recovered from COVID-19 till now. The recovery rate has reached up to 97.66%. The state has now 1,781 active cases, out of which 30 patients are on ventilator. Maximum 77 new cases reported from Vadodara, while Ahmedabad recorded 49 new cases. According to sources, not a single positive case was reported from 13 districts of the state. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Maharashtra, 34,889 healthcare and frontline workers were vaccinated yesterday, taking the total number of beneficiaries to 6,08,570. With 3,297 new cases of coronavirus, Maharashtra's caseload has increased to 20,52,905. According to the state's public health department, 6,107 patients were discharged yesterday, taking the number of recoveries to 19,70,053. The death toll increased by 25 and went up to 51,415. The number of active cases in the state stands at 30,265. More details from our Mumbai correspondent.
Maharashtra government has issued guidelines for upcoming Maghi Ganesh festival and Shiv Jayanti celebrations. No procession will be allowed while welcoming and at the time of immersion of Ganesh idol. Maximum 10 Ganesh Mandal members and 15 devotees are allowed at a time in Ganesh Pandal. Mandals have been asked to make provision for the online darshan. Various organizations have been asked to organize health awareness programs. All have been asked to celebrate Shiv Jayanti in a simple manner without coming together on a big scale. State government advised citizens not to organize motorbike rallies, Prabhat Feris and other processions for celebration. It added that statues or portraits of Shivaji Maharaj can be garlanded in presence of maximum 10 persons. With Sweety Jain, Jivan Bhavsar, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Odisha, 21,400 healthcare and frontline workers were vaccinated yesterday in 207 session sites across the state. While more than 17,000 of those who received the jabs were frontline workers, the rest 3,873 were healthcare workers. More details in this report.
The first phase of COVID-19 vaccination that began in the state on the 16th of January last, along with the nationwide rollout of the drive, was targeted to be completed by the 10th of February. However, given the fact that only 2.73 lakh out of the total 3.38 lakh registered healthcare workers have so far been inoculated, the government has extended the deadline till tomorrow so as to cover the rest of the healthcare workers. Meanwhile, the state is gearing up for the second round of vaccination from the 15th of this month, which will see the administration of the second source of vaccines to the beneficiaries, all healthcare workers. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight, will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Dr. Prasanna Panda from AIIMS, Rishikesh, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free telephone number 1800-115767. One can also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. In some international news, United States President Joe Biden has revoked the national emergency order used to fund former President Donald Trump's Mexico border wall project. In a letter to Congress yesterday, Biden wrote that the order was unwarranted and said that no further tax dollars will be spent on the wall. The announcement is the latest in a series of executive orders from President Biden that have rolled back key parts of the former president's agenda. In 2019, President Trump had declared a state of emergency over the southern border, which had allowed him to bypass Congress and use military funds for the construction of the wall. It is estimated that when Donald Trump left the presidential office, about $25 billion had already been spent on the project.
Inspiring others, a juice center in Malleshwaram in Bengaluru generates zero waste by serving juice in the shells of muskmelon, watermelon and pineapple. This juice center is run by Anand Raj, who gave up his 12-year-old career as a radio jockey and took over his father's business in 2018. More details on this from our Bengaluru correspondent.
Flanked by Sai Baba Temple and Kadu Malleshwara Shiva Temple, Eat Raja Juice Shop in Malleshwaram stands out as a champion of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. No plastic cups, straws, tissue paper or water bottles are used here. The shop serves muskmelon, watermelon, cucumber or chili guava juice in the scrapped out empty shells of the fruits. The leftover peels of fruits are made into bioenzymes useful for surface cleaners. Anand Raj, popularly known as Beat Raja during his radio jockey days, spoke to AIR News on the concept of zero waste juice shop.
I thought out of the fruit. So normally what we do is we peel the skin out and take the inside flesh and then make juices. Here what we did was, why throw the skin or the peel? So I retained the peel, I scooped out the fruit from inside, put it in the mixer, made a juice out of it, poured back into the same container of the fruit, and that's the novelty that we have.
Anand Raj has put up multiple boards in his shop that conveys the message of practicing eco-friendly lifestyle. It is his earnest desire to see people stop littering and make the city healthy with clean and pure air. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the natural cave of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Ji has been opened for darshans for the devotees since Makar Sankranti. Our correspondent reports that as per the practice and since then, a large number of pilgrims have performed darshans via the natural cave by strictly following the social distancing norms and other precautionary measures with regard to COVID-19. Worth to mention that every year the natural cave is opened for pilgrims on the auspicious occasion of Makar Sankranti amidst chanting of Vedic mantras. Meanwhile, the yatra to the holy cave shrine of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Ji is progressing smoothly, and since 1st January this year, over 5.17 lakh pilgrims have paid obeisance at the Sanctum Sanctorum. And now let us take a look at the weather update for today. Jammu will witness mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature in the city was 11 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 23 degrees. In Srinagar, the sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature in the city was -1 degree Celsius, while it is expected to rise up to around 14 degrees Celsius. Leh will see partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was -10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 6 degrees. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between -2 and 16 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperatures will vary from 7 to 24 degrees Celsius. Dehradun will have mainly clear sky. It will witness temperatures rising from 8 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees. Chandigarh will again have generally cloudy sky. The temperature is likely to hover between 10 and 25 degrees Celsius. The national capital, Delhi, is experiencing moderate fog in the morning. The minimum temperature recorded was 10 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 27 degrees. Mumbai is expected to have mainly clear sky with temperatures varying between 21 and 34 degrees Celsius. Chennai may witness mainly clear sky. The temperatures will fluctuate between 19 and 31 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Almost all newspapers today lead with India-China disengagement plan along the LAC. The Asian Age headline reads, Rajnath tells House, India-China agreed to LAC pullback in phases. The other story that hogs the limelight is the resumption of rescue operations to save people trapped inside the Tapovan tunnel. Chamoli rescuers change track to save lives is the lead in the Pioneer. With winters coming to a close in Delhi, Hindustan Times leads with, Winter's over. More 30 degrees Celsius days likely this month, says IMD. In a bid to improve the financials of airlines hit hard by the pandemic, flight tariffs set to go up. The Business Standard headline reads, Airlines can raise fares up to 30%, capacity cap stays. Quoting Communications and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Economic Times headlines, Social media to face strict action over fake news. And finally, the Indian Express talks of a unique museum coming up in Madhya Pradesh. Phulan Devi Nirbhay Gujjar in Chambal, a police museum on dacoits.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India and China to cease their forward deployment in phased and coordinated manner in eastern Ladakh. Both houses of parliament to resume discussion on union budget. Over 1 crore MSMEs registered in the country over a period of 5 years. Search and rescue operation continues overnight for people trapped inside the tunnel in Uttarakhand. And US President Joe Biden revokes national emergency order used to fund Mexico border wall project. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.